What you're telling me is unless she turns up dead, you're not going to care.
Bellevue police say a surveillance tape shows the 33-year-old 5'10" blonde woman getting into her car and driving away.
My wife is missing.
Something's just not right with this guy's story.
Tanya and Tom Rider are a happy, motivated couple living in Kent, Washington in September 2007. Both of them work more than one job, saving up to build their dream home right on a lake. They didn't even have a bed, furniture, tables, or a washer and dryer. All money was being saved for their end goal. Tom is a 39-year-old housing developer during the day, a pizza delivery driver at night, and has a side hustle doing work for a real estate client whenever he has time. Tanya is a 33-year-old who works overnight at a grocery store and also has a daytime job at Nordstrom. Both work so much and have such different schedules that it is common for them not to see each other for 3 or 4 days, even though they live together. On Thursday, September 20th, Tom was working at his main job, and Tanya had just finished her overnight shift at 9 a.m. and was heading home to nap before her daytime shift. After his main job ended, Tom worked a few hours at his side job, cutting blackberry bushes. He then went to work at the pizza parlor until midnight. When Tom arrived home, Tanya was gone, which was nothing to be nervous about since she would be working at that time, so Tom went to sleep. It's not until the morning of Saturday, the 22nd, that Tom discovers something has happened with his wife. He is working on his side job when he receives a call from Tanya's boss at the grocery store. She informed him that Tanya had not shown up for her last 2 shifts and wanted to make sure she was okay. Tom instantly starts to panic as he knows that is very unlike his wife, and also because he has not seen her at home. Tom stops his work and runs to his truck, heading straight home. On the way, he calls Tanya's phone multiple times, which rings, but no one answers. When he arrives at the house, he searches everywhere, but there is no sign of Tanya, and her car is not in the garage.
911, what are you reporting?
My wife didn't show up for work last night, and she's not home, and I haven't heard from her in 2 days. Can you just check and see if there are any accidents involving Tanya Rider, R-I-D-E-R?
I'm not showing any injury accidents in that area, but I can connect you with State Patrol and you can check if there are any injury accidents on the freeway.
Calling the State Patrol office, they too say there have been no accidents involving someone of Tanya's description. Tom decides to go to the Nordstrom store to see if maybe she was working there. On the way, he calls 911 again, this time to file a missing persons report. A police officer meets Tom at the Nordstrom store, where there is no sign of Tanya, and gets a description of Tanya and what exactly has happened. After finding out where they live, the officer refers to the King County Sheriff's Office to file a missing person report, since that is where their residence is located.
My wife is missing. My wife's name is Tanya Rider.
The dispatcher tells Tom he must contact the hospitals and jails first, before they can file a missing persons report. He contacts every place he knows of, but there is no sign of his wife anywhere. Tom also calls all family members and friends, even though Tanya does not keep touch with her family anymore. Still, nothing. He calls 911, but they will again not file a missing persons report, now stating that she does not meet the requirements for it.
Just because she's missed work, did you guys have any arguments?
No.
Discussions, just problems? Have you checked any of the other family members in the area?
A house in Maple Valley.
Have you contacted any other family members that she may go to?
And talk to her family members. Can you send an officer over to at least take the report?
Officers don't take his reports in person. She does not meet criteria to take a missing persons report on. She is an adult. She's not been suicidal. What we're telling you is that she doesn't meet the criteria.
Tomorrow.
Okay. What we're telling you is that she doesn't meet the criteria. Okay. We don't go actively searching for missing people, sir.
Frustrated and anxious, Tom calls news channels and media outlets to try to get attention to get the case going, but unfortunately they cannot report about a story unless there is a police report file number, as they do not want to risk sending false information. Being gone for a few days now and not receiving any help, Tom starts to drive the route Tanya would have taken to get home. He drives back and forth all day and night, looking for any signs of a car going off the road or anything suspicious. What Tom doesn't know is that he has been driving past Tanya over and over again, because just 10 feet from the freeway is Tanya's wrecked car in a ditch, and Tanya is still in the driver's seat. On Thursday, September 20th, Tanya left her overnight job to head home, which was a 20-mile drive. Although it is unclear, it seems that she may have fallen asleep at the wheel and went off the road and tumbled down into a ravine. She was only 6 miles from home. No one had seen the accident, and no one could tell a car was even 10 feet from the road since it was in a ditch, with thick bushes covering it up. Tanya struggled to open her eyes, but once she did, she could see her damaged car lying on its side. She was partially suspended in the air due to the seatbelt, her left side almost lying against the driver's side door. Not knowing what happened, Tanya would feel around, trying to see how to get loose. She tries to reach for the seatbelt buckle, but her position and injuries prevent her from being able to. Tanya hangs there on her side, not able to move. Her whole body is in pain, and her legs are trapped between the seat, door, and dashboard. Tanya doesn't know it yet, but she is suffering from multiple injuries, including broken ribs, a broken clavicle, and a dislocated shoulder. She tries to breathe, but it is so painful due to the broken ribs and the seatbelt squeezing her that she can only make small, shallow breaths. Still confused, Tanya goes in and out of consciousness, unsure of how much time has passed. She wakes up again when her phone starts ringing. She can see the blue screen light up with her husband's name, but it's too far for her to reach. Tanya does not know how long it's been, but what she does know is that she is hungry, thirsty, and cold. She's also surrounded by her own urine, feces, and old blood, which makes the smell swirling around her almost unbearable. By this point, it has probably been 3 or 4 days. On Sunday the 23rd, 3 days after Tanya disappeared, Tom calls the police again, begging for them to file a missing person report. Finally, a new operator he speaks to agrees to file Tanya as a missing person.
What's going to happen is we're going to list her, and if someone runs her name anywhere in the country, they will know that she is missing and they'll call.
A sheriff goes out to the couple's house and speaks with Tom. He also looks around to see if there's anything suspicious, but of course, he finds nothing, as we know she never even made it home. While leaving, the sheriff states that a detective still needs to take the case, so no one is actually working on it at the moment. Tom is just happy that they are moving forward. Finally, on Monday, September 24th, 4 days after Tanya went missing, a detective takes the case. The detective asks for bank statements to see if any movement can be found, as well as Tanya's cell phone provider information so they can track her phone. Unfortunately, the cell phone provider cannot trace a phone unless there is a warrant, and a judge will not sign one, stating that there is no reason for it. On the 25th, 5 days after Tanya has vanished, the detective gets hung up on activity in the joint bank account that Tom and Tanya shared. Tom had stopped and got gas to fill his truck, and the detective, not knowing Tom had access to the account, thought it was Tanya making a purchase. So the detective keeps busy on the bank account. This ends up taking them nowhere, only frustrating Tom more as he did not realize they didn't know he had access to the bank account. While the detective and Tom are dealing with the confusion, Tanya is fighting for her life. It is now day 5 or 6, and Tanya is still alive, although she is dealing with extreme dehydration, starvation, multiple injuries, blood loss, and hypothermia. Being in the same exact position since the first day of the accident, Tanya is unable to get away from the waste her dying body is excreting. The stench from bodily waste building up around her is already enough, but now she also starts to vomit and have diarrhea. Along with all of the external issues occurring, she also starts to notice what's happening inside her body. She can feel her heart pounding and fluttering, most likely from her organs starting to shut down and from not having enough blood and oxygen pumping through her body. Tanya is still confused where she is and what's happening, but she does know the smell, bugs, and scary noises of animals at night keep her awake when all she wants to do is close her eyes. September 25th. Since there is now a police missing persons report filed, news outlets can air the story of Tanya's disappearance.
Tom says there is no reason for her to run away, and now he's putting up a $25,000 reward to help find her.
It has now been 8 days since Tanya has gone missing, and police have gotten nowhere. The detective still tries to get a warrant to track Tanya's cell phone, but the judge still will not sign. Tom has been unable to eat or sleep for the past week, and his body is struggling to take the sleep deprivation, constant anxiety, and starvation. He also has this strong feeling that Tanya is not far and needs help, and he will not sleep until she is found.
This is calling from the Bellevue Fred Meyer store because I wanted to get some information for somebody because one of my employees is missing. Something's not right with this guy's story. And I just need to let somebody know that. Something's just not right with this guy's story.
Tanya's boss had made this call to the police days prior, and now that a detective was on the case, they decided to bring Tom in for a polygraph test. While Tom gets questioned by the police, he becomes agitated, as he knows they are trying to get some form of confession out of him. But still, he keeps calm in order to get things moving quickly so that they can move on and find his wife. At the same time, suspicions are rising with Tom's story. Police have finally been able to get a new judge to sign a warrant to track Tanya's phone. They call the cell phone provider and are able to narrow her location down to a 3-mile radius along the freeway that she takes to get home from work. Police start walking along the freeway, trying to look for any car that may have gone off the road. Not even 2 hours into the search, they find Tanya's car, lying on its side in a ditch, just 10 feet from the road. When firefighters and police look inside, they find Tanya. Police rush into the room where Tom is being interrogated and tell him that Tanya's car was found. He asks if she is okay, but they are unsure at the moment. A news helicopter flies above the scene, showing just how close Tanya was to the road.
170, start. We got movement.
We got movement. County, I need an aid car, please.
Okay.
This is that missing female, Tanya Rider, that was on the news. We found her vehicle, and she's still moving inside of it. Oh, my God, this was a car accident. I think a car accident, and she's been trapped for this long.
Okay.
Wow.
Survivor, a woman missing for 8 days, turns up alive, trapped in her car, thanks to her cell phone.
A woman who was missing for more than a week has turned up alive just as police were getting ready to question her husband about her disappearance.
Tanya is alive, but barely. She is so stuck in the car that the firefighters have to use a tool called the jaws of life to break her car apart and slide her out. They send a medevac helicopter to pick her up on the freeway, which forces them to block the road and divert traffic. While Tom speeds to the hospital after hearing the news, he goes on the freeway and ends up getting stuck in the exact traffic caused by his wife's discovery. Tom does his best to get through traffic, and even though it is a grueling, long ride, he makes it to the hospital before the helicopter does. Right when Tom arrives, he is swarmed by reporters. He is able to get past them and is taken into a holding room by a nurse while they wait for Tanya to arrive. Just a little while later, Tanya is rushed into the ER. She will spend the next month in the ICU, as well as 2 months in different departments throughout the hospital. She was so severely dehydrated and malnourished that her organs were shutting down and was in acute kidney failure. She also had a body temperature of 87.6 degrees Fahrenheit. Along with the severe dehydration, malnutrition, and hypothermia, Tanya also suffered from a dislocated shoulder, a broken collarbone, broken ribs, fractures of the spinal vertebrae, and multiple deep lacerations. Furthermore, her lungs were leaking, which caused a buildup of air behind her chest cavity and armpit. Since her legs were crushed for so long, there was no pulse in both her legs, and there was concern that they would have to amputate at least one. Thankfully, Tanya would end up being able to keep both of her legs, although they had to remove 3 muscles in her hip that had completely died. They also had to put her into an induced coma to help her body heal, and a ventilator had to breathe for her because her body was too weak. After a week of being in a coma, which was the same amount of time she was stuck in the car, Tanya wakes up, and the first thing she sees is Tom. Although they are back together, there is still a long road ahead. It takes 3 months of being in the hospital for Tanya to learn how to walk again, but only by using a walker and having someone close by. But the doctors give her the all-clear, and she is released from the hospital on December 23, 2007, reaching her goal to make it home by Christmas. 9 months after the accident, Tanya is able to walk just using a cane, but she still suffers from severe pain and wound infections, as well as PTSD, anxiety, and depression.
She was in that car for 8 days. All I know is no one else should have to go through what she went through, when the simple pinging of a cell phone could have led him to her an hour.
In 2010, Tom and Tanya sued the Kings County Sheriff's Office, but the case got dismissed. That same year, they published a book about the whole ordeal, and their story was aired on an episode of a show called Disappeared.
I have bits and pieces, but I remember tugging at my seatbelt. I remember hearing my cell phone ring and trying to reach it and not being able to reach it. I remember hearing cars go by and banging on my window for someone to hear me.
What are your views on how the police handled the case? How much guilt do you think Tom has knowing that he drove past Tanya multiple times, not knowing she was just 10 feet away? And how do you think you would react if you were stuck sideways in a ditch without anyone able to see or hear you?